I am still learning and wish I knew that there are ebbs and flows in the business. And so when it's quiet, it doesn't mean that the business is going bad. It just means that it's a seasonal time and there are opportunities for growth. And then when the season is really busy, it's being appreciative of how busy the season is because you've also experienced the slow. And what I'm still learning is that the seasons are intentional and there for a reason. I'm still working through
Yeah.
what those seasons look like.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. I'm Courtney Cook, founder of Monarch COO, where I help mission-driven entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Each week, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs to explore the stories behind their successes and challenges. Whether you're just dreaming of starting a business or already building one, this podcast is here to show you that entrepreneurship is more attainable than it might seem, with insights for every stage of the journey. Let's dive in to today's conversation and see what it takes to build a business. Danica Leporte is the founder of Under the Stars KC, a luxury glamping and picnic company that helps Kansas City families celebrate life's sweetest moments, beautifully styled and stress-free. What began as a creative side project has grown into a standout brand known for its thoughtful design, exceptional service, and elevated experiences. Danica's story is one many women will recognize, balancing motherhood, creativity, and the desire to build something of her own. Her brand has been recognized by the wedding and event industry for creating luxury moments with heart, and her journey from DIY beginnings to a thriving multi-service business makes her an authentic voice in entrepreneurship. Welcome to the podcast, Danica.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Will you kick us off by sharing more details about the services of your business? So, what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been a business owner?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we are Under the Stars KC. We service unique events outdoors, and we want to create luxury spaces for people to celebrate in an outdoor experience. So that means we do glamping tents, where people sleep in bell tents outside under the stars. We do luxury picnics where people can sit on pillow style seating, and have a beautiful picnic in their backyard or even at a lavender farm. And then we also do slumber parties indoors because right now it's hot. But there are also seasons in Kansas City when it is cold. And so we do the indoor slumber parties with teepees, and bedding, and we provide the whole experience. Typically, our customers are the 11-year-old girl having their first slumber party, or the bride who wants to do something unique and is outdoorsy for their bridal shower. But we also service corporations who want that camping feel for their corporate event. And we even have a retreat where we bring women in to experience glamping, outdoors. And so we really service the women who want to celebrate, get outside, and do it in a unique way. A mobile glamping company. And so we come to your backyard. We go to an event space and we come and we set up the entire thing. It's a 24-hour rental. If you choose to sleep under the stars, you get a bed, you get a TV tray, you get decorations, you got blankets, pillows, and all of the glamorous things that go along with it.
Amazing. A lavender farm sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So it's cool because it's not just slumber parties, you kind of offer the full gamut of an outdoor experience. It's really cool.
We
So I'm
do. My kid's favorite is the movie night. So we actually have a 10-foot movie screen that we set up in the backyard, and we have a projector and a sound bar, and then we set up either seating on chairs or seating on the ground with comfy pillows, and the kids can watch their whole movie under the stars, and it's a lot of fun.
That sounds amazing. So I'm curious, we'll get into that soon of just kind of how it's transitioned over time. But to start, what sparked this idea? Like what was it where you were like, I've got to do this?
Sure. Well, I'm from Arizona. I've actually started my business 3 years ago when we moved to Kansas City. And so in Arizona, I went straight from being corporate America to being stay-at-home mom, like literally in my
Wow.
cube one day to stay-at-home mom the next day, as by choice, so we could raise our children that way. But I found out really quickly that I needed to be out. And so I started joining moms groups and eventually found a mom that wanted to start a moms group with me. And then as a part of that moms group, I would design crafts around a book that we were reading or something along those lines. And moms would say, I just don't know what to do for birthdays. You're so crafty. And so I would bring a craft to the birthday party. And so as I was on that journey, I met a company in Arizona called Arizona Sleepy Teepee and offered her my opportunities to work alongside her doing crafts whenever a client needed, somebody an extra hands. And she offered me the opportunity to come and do the delivery and set up and create event spaces. And so I worked with her for about a year and a half. And then we got the opportunity to move to Kansas City. And so as we were looking at moving and what we were going to do and what I was going to do, my kids were now going to be going into school full time. We talked about well, that I could really do this business here in the Kansas City area. And so thus the journey began. And it was really an opportunity. There was a market in Kansas City that hadn't been tapped into. And so I said, yeah, let's get this started there.
That's amazing. And to do it when you don't yet have a community, you're like new to the Kansas City business world, to just like that takes even more boldness than I think somebody who's been here for a really long time and already has connections. Not that you probably had some, but it's not like you had been here for years and years. So that's a brave move. Was that a little nerve-wracking, or did you just not even was that were you just like not scared by that?
No, well, what I learned from working in Arizona and having a small startup there was how to get connected to the small business community. And so every college, and here it's at JCC, has a small business SBDC. I'm always bad at remembering what it is, but it's basically free counselors for business startups. And so I knew from Arizona that that was an opportunity. And actually, before we even moved to Kansas City, I started looking up the one here in the Kansas area and got connected with a coach pretty quickly.
Nice.
And so that connected me right away with things like how do I do taxes here? How do I even, is it okay to run a home business? All those kind of questions and things. They walk you through a business plan through those small business development centers. And so I had that opportunity knowing from what I had done before. So that was my first connection into the world. Um, and just really being able to say, okay, if I'm going to start this, who are my resources? And the college provided great resources for that.
Yeah, that's cool. So once you went there, what happened next? Like, what was it that you started moving forward with to just make this? I mean, you've made it legitimate, right? And after that, what were some of the things tactically that you did?
Well, I have a big sales background, so I did sales all the way through
Cool.
college and stuff like that. And so I knew that commute building. I knew we prayed about where we were going to live when we bought our home, and I knew one of the biggest things I prayed for was community.
Hmm.
And so that was really on the top of my mind is starting to build community. So my first year in business, I would say 2 to 3 times a week, I was at some networking event. If something was posted on Facebook and people were getting together, I was there.
Nice.
What really kicked it off was we were introduced to someone at a small shop in Lee Summit. Her company, Dara is her name, and it is Expressions Boutique in Lee Summit. We walked in there. We told her we were new to town, what I was starting a business. She actually prayed for us in her store, and then introduced me to an amazing community of women called Wise Women, which
Okay.
was a networking group. And they had just started meeting in Overland Park, and that's where we're located in Overland Park. And so she said once a month they have a luncheon and a teaching, and that's really where you should start. And so I went that next April. So we had only been here 3 months. I went to the next Wise Women, and the women in that network. And what I found in Kansas City in general is just people want to connect. They want to say, hey, oh, you do this, let me introduce you to this person. Oh, you do
Hmm.
this, let me introduce you to this person. And it's was so refreshing for me. And so getting connected to those networking groups, Wise Women then connected me to ACA group. And so I spent my first year really honing in on how often and how many people can I get connected with.
Yeah.
And then by the end of my first year, I got connected to the wedding community. And the wedding community has photo shoots and things where they get the wedding vendors together to show off and display their work, and then they bring the rest of the wedding community in, and it's called Monthly Merriment. And so in Monthly Merriment, I was able to set up and do a display. We did a slumber party, bachelorette party for one of the events in November of my first year. And so really then decided that the wedding community was where I wanted to stay connected. And so I
Mhm.
started to make intentional relationships with those people, regular coffees, regular one-on-ones, showing up to at least 2 meetings a month with different people that well, different, in different groups of the wedding industry, but the same kind of people, just really plugging into that community. Um, and so, yeah, I think that through me being able to articulate what we were doing as well as connecting with the community in a networking way really gave me the motivation to keep going and keep selling and to keep opportunities. And then what I think I have that here. Yeah. And so what then really projected me into my target market, which is that 11-year-old girl group, was school auctions.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So getting to know my kids' school and getting
Yeah.
involved in their school auction. And then when other people were at these networking things, there's a lot of people who are looking for nonprofits. There's private school people at these networking things and just saying, oh, well, if you ever need anything, let me know. I do school auctions.
Yeah.
And so those are probably the ways I really got the ball rolling was plugging into a community that fit my clientele and the dynamic I was looking for, um, and starting to really build that community around me. Because as you said, when I moved here, I didn't have
Yeah.
any.
Yeah. That's awesome. So was there a turning point in all that or just in the midst of your first couple years where you were like, okay, this business is going to work. I've got a thing going here.
I think I saw it working really well for the company I worked for in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew if I can get plugged into the community, there is a desire for people to celebrate in unique ways. Even as a mom in a mom's group, we were always talking about what's the next, where do we go to this birthday? How do we celebrate this thing? How do we do this? And so I think it was before I even started, I mentioned I had the craft business. I actually have had a few other small entrepreneurial stuff prior to, and really knowing that this one hit because it was really backed by my husband and my family, and it was a need in the market that I knew that I could create and do well.
It's awesome. So has there been anything in the last 3 years that's just been an unexpected challenge that you didn't foresee coming your way?
Um, Really, time management.
Yeah.
I left the corporate world to manage the kids and to manage our home, and so creating
Mhm.
that foundation was where we started, and then when you add on the 25 to 30 hours of business running, um, and when you are a solopreneur, you're looking at, um, creating a website, updating your content, having good SEO, and that's just all around your one website. And then there's the accounting piece and the hiring piece and the inventory piece and the cleaning. You have to.
Yeah.
We are really specific about how we clean our products because they are reusable items, and so we make sure that we are going through a good cleaning process. But that all those 5 jobs are my job.
Yeah. Yeah. You do it all.
So it really has been, how do you manage the expectation of my family as the stay-at-home mom on top of the full-time business owner that carries all of these different directions, and then my social community creating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Then you have
yeah,
to add on networking and
yeah.
yeah, getting your name out there in that way. It is a lot and can be really heavy. How many kiddos do you have too?
I have 2. I have an 8-year-old girl and 11-year-old boy, and
Okay,
that was
busy.
also it is busy, but that was also a turning point for me in my business when my kids were, um, before school. I
Yeah.
really don't think I could have had the energy, because we did choose the path for me to stay at home in order for me to fulfill that role and do the business the way that we do it successfully now. So, it really took another turning point was really my children are in school, and from 9 to 3, I have a gap of time to
Yeah.
focus on a business.
Yep, that's cool. So did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I think that I always knew I wanted to be the big wig and the boss.
Love it.
I think my college aspirations were to go to end up in New York and be on Wall Street and be up in a big high rise, and I did that. I did corporate for a long
Oh
time.
my gosh. Yeah.
Um, and so what I knew was I was good at sales. I was a Girl Scout growing up. So I was always good at cookie sales. I was in sales in college. I got into sales right out of college. And so um, I am always have always been good at talking with people and understanding and fulfilling a need. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a builder, and he went back
Cool.
and forth through different things that he built throughout our lives between homes and complexes and all kinds of things. And
Wow.
so, um, yeah, I think entrepreneurship was part of our DNA, and it was also kind of just a natural design when I realized that the corporate world is actually just sitting behind a desk. It's not necessarily um,
Yeah.
the hands-on that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I relate so much to that of like the physical like nature of being able to do something.
Mhm.
Um it's hard to beat that. Like it's hard to beat that. It's like one element of being a mom that is so fun. Like you are you are busy with your children every single day. We're
And it's always
exhausted, but I get it.
changing and it's
Yeah.
always new. And I think too, the reward of this business and the reward of motherhood is seeing the expressions on people's faces when something is above it there and beyond their expectations. And so the most rewarding part of this job has been to create beautiful celebrations that people just walk into and go, "Oh, wow, like I saw your pictures, but I haven't ever actually experienced it. And what a great experience it is.
Yeah.
You've really transformed the space into something that feels special and then creates lifelong memories. We have about 60 reviews about our business on Google, and you can go out and see what people are saying about us. But it really is about how we are customer focused and we create unique ways that people will remember for a lifetime.
Yeah. What have been some of your favorite ones that you've done that have seemed to make a big impact? Do you have any like real examples you can provide?
Um, so My biggest one, and we are repeating it this September, is called Camp Connect. And so we get group of women together to connect with themselves, connect with God, and connect with others outdoors. We go to a resort in Hamilton, Missouri called Holly Farms. And the work was so physical. And I think that's a challenge that people are like, oh, you're in the event industry? That's so fun. And while it is so fun, like, I'm literally lifting 100-pound tents and, moving beds and making sheets and creating space. We're creating a space out of nowhere, right? So we're creating something and it's heavy lifting. And so Camp Connect was a heavy lifting job. We put up enough tents for 25 people to sleep in. We put up beds. We put up all of the things for them to be there. And so the physical labor at the beginning is always, you're like, what is happening? What am I putting this, why all
Yeah.
this labor? But then at the end of camp, it's a 3-day retreat where we focus on people healing, connecting, and really resting. And at the end of the retreat, well, I prayed about each woman in each tent that they would create a connection because women were coming who didn't necessarily know each other. And so we put them together in a tented situation for a
Wow.
weekend. Um, at the end of the weekend, there was a group of moms who had tented together and never knew each other that were exchanging numbers, talking about how to get together, talking about motherhood and their struggles. People were talking about how they felt loved just by the tiny things that we provided in their tents and the details that we focused. We named tents. And so people were like, wow, you named this tent something that I've been praying for and working with the
Yeah.
Lord already on.
Wow.
And so it just was that's probably my most special is that the physical labor and the beauty of the physical labor created real connection with people at the end. Um, and then I think that mostly, if you talk to my team that I'm building, most of them would say it's the of the
Yeah.
children when they walk
Mm,
downstairs and really see how their transformed space turns into something that they could only imagine. And then their friends are talking about it and that sort of thing. So in the slumber party realm, it's really that shocked or that awe, physical awe of the kids that, and it happens pretty regularly. So I love it.
mhm.
But it's not my biggest moment because Camp Connect was pretty high up there.
Yeah. That's hard to beat. That's hard to beat, and it sounds like I mean, it was all the Lord had his hands all over that, like,
Yeah.
naming of the tents. That's incredible.
It was really cool. It was the first time that I've my physical labor in
Yeah.
in for the Lord has really produced some actual fruit for people. I mean, not the first time, but I guess one of my business most memorable times. So, yeah, it was pretty impactful for me. And we're doing it again this year. So small
Sweet.
plug. I think we're almost
Yeah.
sold out. But it is
Gosh.
September 4th through the 7th. And we bring women together, and it will always be that second weekend in September, right after Labor Day. So yeah, our goal is to bring people out who need to just rest, relax, reset, and they want to connect with other women in the same space. So
Oh, that's incredible. Can people, do you have, like, an email list where if people wanna get connected for next year's event, is that
yeah,
how they would stay connected?
first, right now, I mean, we're still grassroots, so Facebook is called Camp
Cool.
Connect,
Okay.
and you can find us on Camp Connect, and then just tell us you're interested, and you'll be connected to our community and our group.
Sweet.
If you really want to get in touch with me, Under the Stars KC, that's my email, that's my Instagram, that's my website. My phone number's all over that kind of stuff. You can just give me a call or shoot
Nice.
me an email.
Well, I'll make sure to add to the show notes to Camp Connect as well as Under the Stars KC. That's really cool. So, just to get to the nitty gritty a little bit, because as you're talking about the physical labor aspect and your work, it sounds like you have a little team. How do you manage profitability? Like, how do you look at your labor? I mean, and the physical there's probably so much planning that goes into it behind the scenes that nobody even realizes. Plus you have the physical aspect of it. How do you approach that?
So at first, I just spent all my money on inventory and it
Yeah.
all just disappeared. Um,
Yep.
and then I met a few different people, both my accountant and then the girl that helped me create my customer management system, both talked about something called Profit First. And so Profit First is a mindset or tool that I have implemented since probably almost a year now. And it helps me pay myself. Do you want me to go into details of how Profit
Yeah, I
First
think
works?
for people that haven't heard about it, I think it would be a great learning opportunity. So please do.
So Profit First is basically a five bucketed way that you manage your income. And so the first is that anytime sales come in, they all come into the same bucket. So you have one income account that every time a sale is made, it all comes into this big bucket that just sits. Well, it doesn't just sit, but and then that bucket is then divided into the needs of the business. And so the very first need for my business is to show profitability. And I started at a really low number. So I started to pay my business 1% profit. So say that I made $100 in a sale, I would pay myself in the profit bucket just $1, and then it still gives me $99 to buy the inventory that I so think I desperately need, right? Then the second thing I ran into in my second year of business was taxes. And I was like, oh, great. All my inventory is sitting here and I have no actual finances to pay taxes. So the second need for my business was to have a tax. And so that's the second bucket is a tax bucket. And I knew I was still buying a lot of inventory. So I started with a small amount in that tax bucket of about 10%. This year, my focus has been less inventory and doing more with what I have. And so I had to increase how much I put in my taxes. And I think I'm about 20%, 25% into my tax bucket. So that's the second thing. So I have my sales of $100, $1 would come out to profit. Let's say $20 would come out to taxes. And then the third thing that's most important is to pay myself because I do pay team, I do buy inventory, I do pay for my customer management system to run. Like I have expenses, but I have to have a reason to work. And I
Mhm.
need to show my husband that I work to actually provide income for our
Yes.
family, or he'll
Yes.
make me go back to corporate work.
Yes. Or we'll
So
say we're better off with you staying home
correct.
because you're busy.
Yes. So I pay myself at a percentage to whatever I decided worked for my hours. Currently, it's 28% of the income. So on a $100 sale, $1 goes to profit, $20 to taxes, and $28 comes to me. And so then that gives me about 50, I'm not going to do the math right, but 50-ish dollars then to go into inventory and my expenses and things like that. And so there was a time I was paying for a really amazing accountant who was doing awesome, awesome things for me, but she would take almost 50% of my income from each sale to do my accounting. Well, when I look at profit first, I'm like, wait, I only have 50% to run the rest of my business. So I have to make so what Profit First did for me was it also helped me make like hard choice cuts of what is actually available. And so if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I'm really excited. I have to do so I have the capacity to do 18 teepees in one weekend." But they call me and they say, "I want to do 40 teepees in one weekend." I have to look at, okay, how much actual inventory money do I have in order to make that job happen? And that really helps me to make those choices on buying new inventory, how often I'm going to use that inventory, all of those things, because I now know that, wait, I only actually have out of this $100, I only have 43 to actually spend in back into the business.
Yeah.
And then my profit bucket starts to grow. And then it's like, oh, well, I can either take this profit and go on vacation, or I can take this profit and buy something to build my business to the next level. And so those are the kinds of things that's why Profit First was really, really beneficial for me, and has changed how profitability means and why I keep going.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Thank you for going through that
Yeah.
and being willing to get into the weeds because I think it's so important and especially for those that might not even have a business background at all, but they have this wonderful idea that they should absolutely execute. Sometimes I have seen it's sad, but unfortunately it gets upside down and they're not even thinking about profit and how to pay themselves and they're already in too deep and unfortunately have to take a loss. So I think that's super helpful
I
and
think so. I think my two big things are Profit
yeah,
First and getting a coach, a business coach. And again, through
nice.
JCC, they have so many free or really reduced priced. Just met with somebody else through JCC who told me about all the continuing education classes they have,
Oh,
and they're like $100 to $200 a class. But
okay.
the things that you gain in order after you've taken one of those classes. I mean, I took a class on AI and it's changed my business since April and changed what I can do and how quickly I can do things. Um, and so just so those are the two things is talk to somebody about Profit First, read a Profit First book, there's Profit First podcasts, and then get in touch with if you're in the Kansas area or even whatever area, your SBDC, Small Business
Development.
Development Center.
Yeah. Yeah. Great, great advice. And I hope everybody takes that. It's not the first time I've heard about the JCCC just being such a huge benefit to this community. And it's on my list. It needs to be on my list. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. But so what are some of your goals, Danica, for the next 12 months?
Really, it's building a team. I told my husband that if my sales stayed the same as last year, but I did less physical labor, less cleaning tents, less setup, less of that. So it's really building a team. I started with one team member about 2 years ago. Tomorrow night I'll have a team meeting with 6 people. And so they're all contract workers, and we are hiring. So as you put this podcast out there, we're
Okay.
always looking for people who aren't afraid to get sweaty and do work, but also want to do it in a creative way. And one of our company values is integrity. And so we do what we say we're going to do. And so, yeah, I think that's my big goal for 2025 is to maintain business while I grow a team so that I can do less physical work. And I saw that reality in May. We had a really busy um, first part of the year, and I had my driveway full of team members, and I got to go and do school stuff with the kids, and it was really, really incredible to be able to do that. And so I'm continuing that for the 2025 season.
Congrats and good for you. That
Thank you.
is really awesome. And what a relief that you're like, I have people I can trust to execute with excellence, and you don't have to physically be there every single time. That's awesome.
Yeah,
What
I
a
mean,
relief.
once you've done a slumber party a few times, it's pretty much the same setup except for what the theme is, and you get to be creative in that way. And so, somebody who's learned that skill, and is a great team member has been a really, really, really big benefit.
Nice. So how many hours a week does your average person work, like, for anyone who might be interested?
Well, so it's probably about 4 to 6 on the weekends. Or if somebody wants to what I'm really looking for is somebody who wants to come and do inventory and clean and likes
Nice.
to make things look pretty and put things away. Um, and that person would probably be about 6 hours a week. So it's a small part-time job, but it can add up to, when I first started, that's what I was looking for. I was a stay-at-home mom who still had young kids. My kids were not in school yet. So I was looking for weekend work where my husband could be home and I could be working, or I was looking to do a small job, between the 9 and noon time when my daughter was still in preschool. And so that's the kind of work that I was looking for. So we're looking for that kind of, person who just needs a little extra kick in the bucket.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where we're currently at now as we grow. And I think our goal is that while slumber parties, we love celebrating with others, really doing retreats and getting people to connect outdoors is the future of Under the Stars KC. In the next 5 years, I'd love us to be doing multiple retreats for people who really need to spend some time outdoors in a luxurious way. And so as that business grows, we'll have some real physical labor that'll be um, more hours and things like that.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, and it's a really exciting opportunity for you and others around here. So, tell me, what is the most rewarding part of being a business owner and entrepreneur?
It is the celebration. Really creating memorable celebrations around people's most memorable moments. We did a senior prom night in somebody's backyard where
Oh,
we set up the
cool.
whole backyard to look like this garden. And so the kids walked into this backyard, they're all dressed up and they get to just eat in this beautiful, luxurious space. And so when you're having those moments, 13th birthday, 16th birthday, adult bridal showers. So, we've done one where somebody got their bridal party and they went and they did a wine tasting and then they came home to their backyard decorated for a glamping night and that kind of stuff. And so it's really being part of those helping people create space for their memorable moments is really probably the most rewarding part.
That's awesome. So, this is the final question I ask all guests, but what's the one thing you wish you knew when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
I am still learning and wish I knew that there are ebbs and flows in the business. And so when it's quiet, it doesn't mean that the business is going bad. It just means that it's a seasonal time, and there are opportunities for growth. And then when the season is really busy, um, it's taking that, being appreciative of how busy the season is because of you've also experienced the slow. And so I think that has been, yeah, that's been the biggest thing of what I wish I knew and what I'm still learning is that the seasons are intentional and there for a reason. And I'm still working through
Yeah.
what those seasons look like. I
Yeah.
wish I knew that every January I would have 10 parties, but it doesn't always work like that. I wish I knew that every July I would have these people. And in this event industry, I'm not saying that's the same for all industries, but in the event industry, I just don't know. I can't predict what the event industry will do. And so it's being okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Of this is not our plan. Trust the Lord with what he's putting in front. But some months it's really hard to just feel content in what it is. So I can relate completely. So where you kind of mentioned this already, but if you could chat if you could tell us again, where can people find you and how can they reach out to Under the Stars, Casey?
Sure. So we're on all the major social media, Instagram and Facebook. Under the Stars KC is all of our handles. So you can find us at underthestarsKC.com. We are Overland Park located, but we don't have a physical place you would go to. But you can call me. My phone number is listed online. Um, and so, yeah, just connect with us if you want to come, if you're a vendor or if you're in the wedding industry or exploring anything that would touch that. Look up Facebook groups for the Wedding Vendor Social and Monthly Merriment, and you'll meet me there. And I'm gonna have to plug the Leewood Chamber because I like the Leewood Chamber. It's done a really lot of great parts for me building community, and
Awesome.
so you can see my face physically at the Leewood Chamber if you want to show up to one of those.
Cool. Great to know. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Danica. I appreciate it. When we met at book club, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I think like the physical nature of your business is inspiring of like, you're not sitting behind a desk, and I'm quite jealous of that, frankly. I mean, you are, right? You're IT and you're
Yeah,
accounting, you're everything.
I do all of that. Yes.
You do it all. You have some time at the desk, you have some time away. Um, but I am just really inspired by you, and I hope that others will reach out to you and utilize you in ways in the future. And I'll be looking out for your retreats, and even next September. That sounds amazing. So thank you again for
So
your time.
yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate being part of this. And yeah, I love helping small businesses find those resources that help them grow. It breaks my heart when somebody's been in business 3 years and is struggling. And so reach out to your college or reach out to me. I love to be part of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your generosity in
Yeah,
that.
thanks, Courtney.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Entrepreneur's Blueprint. I hope you found inspiration and insights to fuel your entrepreneurial journey. If you're looking for support in building or scaling your business profitably, visit my website or send me an email to learn more about how I help mission-driven businesses become more profitable, proactive, and efficient. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really helps other entrepreneurs discover the show, and it would mean so much to me as well. Until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and keep going.